Good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. Welcome. Welcome to our next Thrinchie. Look at my little book now. So we're on Thrinchie. So we did, I love this one. I love that one, so that's 12. So we're on Thrinchie 13. I've still got to add my numbers yet. But now, don't faint with shock. Look, I've remembered to put my black mat on first. Now, don't faint with shock. So I've got my Thrinchie, my 3 by 3 inch square piece, and I'm going to begin with TE9. Now, I haven't got my inks out because that's standard Tracy. So I'm going to use Twilight and a little bit of brown. So I'm going to use Portobello. So I'm going to take the Take Flight stamp. Just let's add this to an acrylic block. That's the first thing I need. So let's just add that to an acrylic block. I then need some low tack tape. So let's grab some low tack tape. And I've got the kitchen roll underneath my desk. There we go. And I'm going to use it so that it's on its side so we can actually sit things on there. So I'm going to sort of mask that area off here. And then let's mask this area off. We don't have to have all the key, but let's mask some of that off. So I'm just using low tack tape. And what I'm going to do before I do anything, I'm going to see how much of the key I can get on the, oh yeah, that's not bad actually. So I'm actually using it on its side, not this way. So you can still stamp it that way and then turn your Thrinchie round if it makes it easier for you. No problem at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink. We need some kitchen roll. I've just said kitchen roll, haven't I? We need some kitchen roll. Let's just fold that a little bit so we have a little bit of a point. And then I'm going to ink with Twilight. So I'm going to take the Twilight. Let's take the Twilight. It's a nice, lovely dark blue this is. It's lovely. And I'm going to have to hunt my other inks out, but that's me standard. So I've got Twilight on there and I'm going to add a little bit of Portobello. I'm going to add a little bit of Portobello. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my kitchen roll and then I'm going to diffuse some of this ink. Can you see how much ink I get off there? So I'm just going to diffuse this a little bit. So sort of diffuse some of the ink. Then remove that. This is where you forget. This is where Tracy forgets to remove this low tack tape. Honestly, so easy to do. I've done it that many times. So that I've got no straight edges, now I've removed the low tack tape, I'm just going to diffuse some of just the text a little bit, just so it's not quite so straight. You lift your stamp up and you can see that it's wet. That's brilliant. And then I'm going to add this around about, let's have that there. So I'm going to add this around about there. Now, I've diffused some of the areas a little bit, so I'm hoping that sort of fades out. So let's just give that a little bit of time. Now I'm straight onto that white card, so we've got some absorbency there because we've got no inks below. But can you see how long I allow that just to sit on the card, just so that it makes a good impression? Can you see that I'm not rushing that? So then you're not getting frustrated with your stamping. Don't rush everything. There is no rush. Just lovely. Maybe not as much brown as I wanted, but there is a little bit of brown on there. So that's lovely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of add some colour to there eventually, just so that that softens as well. So just so you can see that, you can have it this way if you wish, or you can have it that way, no problem at all. But I want it that way, so it's a bit like a platform. So we've got a bit of that platform. So let's take my colours. I nearly forgot that. So I want the dark blue, which I should have got out ages ago, but I didn't. So now you're waiting for me to find the blue that I want. There it is. Prize ribbon. And then a little bit of vintage photo. So we shall do that afterwards. But let's grab our little cats. So I'm going to take the little cats from TE36. So let's just grab another acrylic block. And your key, don't worry about it has to be perfectly straight. That is, it doesn't have to be. It's just getting that design on there. I've got my little cats. And I'm going to add the little cats here now. So I'm going to add the cats in my black ink, in my Nocturne ink. Now, look how many times, even though it's a small stamp, look how dirty my acrylic block is, even though it's a small stamp, look how many times I tap that stamp, just to make sure that it's got a good layer of ink. Can you see? Lots of times that I tap that, so that it's got a good layer of ink, and you just tilt it on one side, you can see that layer of ink because you get that shine. So then I'm going to add my little buddy cats here. I can just use the one finger. More of it is about patience. Most of it when you're stamping is about just giving that ink time, not sort of plonking it on there and lifting it up within 3 seconds. Give it a little bit of time, just to absorb onto the surface a little bit. Now, if you touch here like I did, your stamp block will rock. If you get that, you can always add another stamp at the top or the bottom to give balance to your acrylic block, just to stop that rocking. There we go. I've got my 2 little puddy cats on the key. And what it means is that now we're building a little library of stamps. We can now use them all together, and we can use them in different ways. So this was all planned. I always knew that the key was not just going to be used on its own, it was going to be used as a platform to stand things on. But obviously it takes a while to build that library of stamps up. We will add the touches of white shortly. So you could also add this little cat here that's sitting on something you can't see on the acetate. There we go. You could also add this little cat, which we could perhaps do in the next Thrinchie. So it's just lovely. I love the Thrinchies. I absolutely love them. So I'm going to grab a paintbrush now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take vintage photo. So let's take a little bit of the vintage photo, and then I'm going to take a prize ribbon like so, and then I'm going to take a little bit of water, and I'm going to, because I've used permanent inks on here, I don't have to worry about them moving. They will not move. So I've just spritzed that Thrinchie with a little bit of water. And the reason I've done that, spritz your inks as well, Tracy. So I'm going to take the brown first. And the reason I've done that is that when the brown touches the card, it's going to move. It's not going to just sit there rigid in one area. It's going to be quite soft, and it's going to move. It looks a little bit more freeing then, with adding a little bit of that water. So it's a little bit free, more free in design. There we go. So let's give that a little bit of a rinse so that we get the true blue colour. So we'll then pick up the prize ribbon, and let's add a little bit of the, If you want to, you can actually just flick it on and you get a really natural feel because it just bleeds into that water. Can you see? It just bleeds, so it becomes more natural. I'm flicking it on my Thrinchie book, not that it matters. But if you flick it on like this, wherever the water is, you're going to get a little bit more of a natural feel. So it means, because when you paint it on, you're a little bit more rigid. You tend to put it on in straight lines, and you don't want straight lines. So you've got some lovely ink here. So let's grab another Thrinchie. But on this one I haven't put the black edge, but it doesn't matter. So let's grab another Thrinchie. Now it seems a waste of ink, so let's just pick that ink up onto another Thrinchie. There we go. Just lovely. Let's grab our heat tool. And let's give those a little bit of a dry. It does make a difference when you've got that black edge. To me it does. It makes a massive difference when you've got the black edge. And then just going to dab into a bit more of that colour. There we go. So we've got two backgrounds for the price of one. We always like a twofer, don't we? So let's just give those a dry again. Let's give this Thrinchie underneath a little bit of a dry. I love Sundays because it's just a day where it's a little bit quieter, so you get a little bit of time just to play. And you can see where I've layered the colour and I've gone over twice. You've got sort of the blotchy markings. Now you can make that a little bit richer, so we can add a little bit more blue if we wish. So take the blue and then you can dab the blue and you can make it a little bit more richer. Look how it's just like your pencils, just like with your pencils. So let's take a little bit of this blue now and let's take a little bit on here. But it's just like your pencils. Adding layers makes a massive difference. It's like anything. Taking the time to add those layers really makes a huge difference. Stop shaking your heat tool, Tracy, because there's no need. Just a terrible habit I've got into. Shaking the heat tool. Don't ask me why, there is no explanation. It's just one of those nutty things that I do. So what I want to show you is, can you see on this one, you also get your little dots as well? Because you've added the colour again. It all adds to that background. It's just lovely. So we've got the blue here, so we can add a few of them dots to this one. And let's add a few more to that one. So just dab your card pieces in. There we go. I think we've got enough blue in there. And then just give that a dry. You can, if you want it to oxidise, is just give it a little bit more of a spritz and you will get that oxidisation. Let's just give that a little bit. There you go. So then just give that, I'm doing it again, look, I'm shaking that heat tool, don't ask me why. So just give that a dry. And now I've got lovely layers of that colour. Let's reverse this, just so that we dry the other side. And before I dry that one, I'm just going to bend this a little bit, just so that bit bent into shape. Let's just heat that one. Isn't this a lovely background now? Just lovely. Just give that a bit of time just to dry that. I do think the time goes quick when you're being creative, you know. It really is. So I've shown you two ways. One, you can start by adding just the water and then drops on there. And then with the leftover ink, you've also got a secondary background. Okay, so let's just dab this now. So then I'm going to take the key again, because we may as well do the two at the same time. Why not? And then I showed you how you could use your low-tack tape. What I'm going to do this time is without the low-tack tape. I'm going to take the Portobello this time and just go across. Now, obviously, I'm going to ink more up than if I put my low-tack tape on there. But I like to show you different ways that you can do things. So I've started with my Portobello, and this time I'll just add touches of the Twilight. Then I will take my kitchen roll, and then I'm just going to diffuse, use a clean area. I'm just going to diffuse the areas. Can you see how much ink that you are removing? Well, you're not removing, you're sort of diffusing it. So then let's bring this in, and we can, if you find that you find it easier that way because it's just alien to you doing it the other way, look, you can still do it this way. I just find it easier because I can see my Thrinchie. I know we're all different, aren't we? And I will faff and just sit there for ages. So just, again, now the difference is, on this one, we stamped the key first. On this one, we're stamping the key second. Now the difference being that now you've got the oxide ink on there. On this one, you stamped onto the white card so it was more porous. On this one, you're stamping onto the oxide, so it's just going to sit on the top a little more because you've got that oxide ink below and just stamping on the top. So again, just have a little patience and allow that just to, you know, make an effect onto the surface of the card. Don't be in too much rush. So this one is more brown. This one has got the blue. So it's entirely up to you how you do that. And what you can see is the edges are diffused. So it's a little bit more natural. And that's what I like. So it's entirely up to you. Then, am I going to add this little putty cat or one of the others? Do you know, you could add that. You bring in the pack and you can add this putty cat. But I like the other pussy cats as well. Honestly, I'm terrible. But I like this little putty cat as well. Or that one. Oh, I can't make my mind up. I'm going to add this little putty cat here. So let's grab another acrylic block just because it's easier. So we take this little pussycat. And we're going to take our black ink. Now this is where Tracy picks up the wrong ink, so she does need to look several times. So let's take the black ink. Oh, try not to get it all over your acrylic block. And just give that a really good inking. There we go. And then I'm going to add you. Let's make sure your little feet are on there. Like so. So just going to add that on there. Now, the only reason I'm giving this a little bit longer is because we're onto the oxide background. Let's place that back so I don't lose them. Yes, so it's that one. So let's remove that, and it's you, isn't it? Yes. So I'm then going to stamp the little cat again so that it looks like he's looking at his friends. So let's bring him down here in the corner. Like so. Let's just grab a wipe. And then, I want one, or I did need the other little cat. So I want one on the other Thrinchie so that he's facing the other way. So again, with that black ink, that Nocturne ink, and this time he's going to be looking this way. Like so. Now, obviously, I didn't do the black edge on the other one because I should have done what Marguerite says and do several in one go, but I haven't yet. There we go. Just love it. So you've now got your design. Let's put the black edge on just whilst I'm here, and then they both look the same. Terrible. There we go. I need a new black Posca pen. Something else I keep saying I'm going to do, and then it doesn't get done because I get sidetracked doing lots of other things. There we go. So I'm just going over them a couple of times, just maybe where the black ink isn't dark enough for me, just to make it more prominent. That's better. What about this side? That's better. So I've now got my black edges. Then we want to add some sort of touches of white. So I'm going to add touches of white just to my key. Just give that a few touches of white. We are going to add some of that Posca pen as well. So I'm going to sort of add a few touches of white just to my little kittens. And I'm not sort of pressing on too hard. I just want it just a little touches of white just on the kitties. And then this one is floating a little bit, so we don't want him to float. Let's just move that out of the way. And I knew there was going to be blue on there. That's it. So we just give him a little bit of grounding because it's important that we have grounding. And then I'm going to take the word cat for one of them. So let's take the word cat. I'm going to stamp that in my black ink. And you don't want to add too many sort of bulky layers to your design. And the only reason you don't want to do that is because obviously you're adding it to a book. So you don't want too many bulky layers. So I'm adding cat to that one, and I'm going to add meow to the other one. Let's take meow. To that one. Now you can add them to white card if you wish. So for instance, that one you can see, let me just stand up. That one you can see quite clearly, and this one is a little bit darker. So if when we've added our white pen, if it doesn't sort of, I don't think it's going to, no. I was going to say it might not show up even with the white pen. So if it doesn't show up enough for you, we'll put that on white card. So let's grab some white card. And this is sort of how you experiment. So let's grab the meow again. Oh, we won't use that one then because it's got a nice bauble on there. Look, look. This is what happens when you go in my cupboard for scraps of card. There's always a background that you pick up. So let's take the meow. And even with your Thrinchies, experiment. So take the meow. Now, this is going to pop nicely against that background. And the Thrinchies you can just have a little play with because it's just a small space. So just experiment. So now that you put the meow on, it really pops, doesn't it? So we will add that. Where's my adhesive? So we'll now add that's it. And then just add our adhesive just here. And now it really pops, that white sort of pops. So then you want to ask yourself, because that really pops, do you want to do it on this one? So if you're not sure, just cut one out because that will, you can then see and visualize. So let's take the cat, have that. Let's place that down, trying to be good, and place them back. Grab the scissors. Because you still want the quality in your Thrinchies, because you're going to look back on these. So you still want to look back on them with fondness and the fact that you've enjoyed doing them. So I always look through the camera. It's a good way to judge. So I can bring these in, and when I look through a camera, I always get a different perspective. Bring this down. And I do think that white really pops against there. So we're going to have the white. So let's add the white. Like so. It just pops a little bit more against that background. I'm then going to just add a little bit of shading under here, just so it looks a little bit more finished off. Let's take that Remember, you've got that oxide ink underneath, so that will react a little bit. Let's take, there we go. And I don't know why I placed it over there, because you know what I'll say, can't find it. And then I'm just going to, I just love it. And then I'm going to take TE10. Let's just put, do I need to put the lid on there? I don't think I do for the amount of short time that it is off. Let's just put the lid on there. So number 10, there we go. Because on number 10, TE10, the Quirky Birds, there's these little hearts that have fallen off because I've used them that much. I'm going to take the black ink. Can you see I'm looking for all the different inks now because I've got that many inks. So I'm going to just add the little hearts here. And I'm finding with my Thrinchies, I'm finding that I'm really playing and I'm really just enjoying the process on small scale. And the book really makes it for me. Somebody else said that as well. Right, let's just place that on there. And then I'm going to take my white pen and just add a little bit of white just to the hearts. And you can see that I'm not scrimping on technique even in a small space, and I'm not scrimping on finishing touches either. I'm still finishing things off properly. So let's take a little bit of water, add a little bit of shadow to these hearts. So I'm not scrimping on what we normally do for a larger card. So I'm going to take my smaller Posca pen, which is PC-1MR, and just add some of those smaller splatters. Let's add some to this as well. So I'm just adding them smaller splatters, and so that the splatters don't react too much with the oxides, I'm just going to give those a dry, just so they don't react too much with the oxides. There we go. Let's bring in our book. I always think they're finished off in the book. Oh, I love the book. It's just lovely. So we did 11 and 12. So this is 13 and 14. So let's take, oh, this is so much easier to press for me, this bottle, this adhesive. There we go. So I'm going to add this here, like so. I'm just going to give that a little bit of time just to grab hold. Oh, they just look so lovely in the book. Makes me happy. I keep forgetting the number. 30, 11, 12. Yeah, I'm on 13 and 14. But it just makes me happy to see them in the book. So let's add this one as well. You can see I splattered my book there. That's just me all over. It's just like everything. When you mat and layer it, doesn't it look different? So when it's in the book, it's sort of matted and layers, matte and layered. Let's just bend that a little bit. Just lovely. Absolutely love this. So then I'm going to take my numbers. Let's grab this. Do you know, I can't pick it up. So then I want, what did I say? 12 and 13. I hope you're keeping check for me. So number 12. So let's take black ink and stamp those numbers. And then 13. So take number 2 off. And take number 3. I'm using the numbers that are on TE 36. You can use whatever you wish. So just give that a little bit of a inking with our Nocturne. And I'm just going to stamp that number 1 again because that one I didn't ink properly. I'm just going to add, that's better. So let's place those back. I do like to place them back on the acetate because then I can use them for a background if I wish. Right, now I've got to get in a cupboard that's got parcels everywhere. You know, I've gone to the cupboard and I've already pulled the punch out. So I'm going to punch these out. Now this isn't perfect for it. It leaves me a white edge, but I quite like that. Let's do number 2. Do you reach that far? No. Where's my scissors? So let's just cut these pieces of card out so that my punch can reach. You can just cut these out if you wish. Good grief. One and 3. Let's grab 2. This is not going to reach here, is it? That's 2. There we go. So now I'm going to add my numbers to this. Do you like the concentration that it took to punch it out? It makes me laugh. So this is number 12. Have I done this? Oh, you can't. So I've done 11, I've done 12. This is 13 and 14. So why have I punched out 12? Oh, for goodness sake, you can't get the staff. So we need a number 4. Oh dear, it's a shame for me, isn't it, really? Right, let's take the number 4. We can use that too because we haven't labelled the other one up yet, so we may as well use that. I'm going to use that one as well. Why not? Wait not, want not. So let's grab all these numbers and then we know what we're doing. Let's grab the punch again. Four. And let's grab this one. There we go. So let's bring these in. So shall we add our numbers? What a faff. So I'm going to add my numbers. So I'm going to add this one here. I can add them in different places because it depends on the design. So I'm going to add number 12. Let's add you underneath there, like so. And eventually I'll probably add shading around them numbers eventually. So there's 11 and 12. So let's put the right numbers on here now, 13 and 14. So number 13. I'm not pressing them down when I first add them. So that if I want to tuck them underneath or put them on the top, then I can decide. Number 13. And number 14. Let's just lift that up. There we go. Make sure your numbers are straight. That's it. So then you've got your Thrinchies. Oh, I've dropped that on the floor. And you've got your number 13 and 14. And it just all works together beautifully. Just put my lid on that. And then you can then judge whether you want to add more touches of white to your design. I just love them. So you can then go through, and if you want to add a little bit more touch of white just along certain areas, you can. This one's slightly darker, so you can add a few more touches of the white. I think I'm quite happy with that. So that then is your Thrinchie 13 and 14. But don't they look lovely when they're in the book? I just love them. I've still got numbers to add to some, but they just look lovely all in the book. I really love looking back at them. And when you close your book, that will flatten anything, but we're not creating too much depth on them. This one has got a little bit more because it's got the flowers, but you still, it means that your book isn't too bulky. So that is 13 and 14. So I hope you enjoyed that and you'll give it a go. And just, this is why I suggest you look through camera. We didn't ground our little cat here. So always look through a camera if you can, because it's surprising what you spot. There we go, just so that he's grounded a little bit. So that's your next Thrinchies. So love to all, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.